Hi there, thanks for joining us in the last of our series, Crossing Cultures. And today we're going to hear from JJ and get a little more on his point of view from crossing culture over into America from Romania. And so I'm kind of laughing a little bit because I'm remembering just a couple months ago at the beginning of the pandemic and being forced to stay home. And we went grocery shopping and to get about a month's worth of unperishable foods. And I'm walking through the store with you, who grew up in communism and is used to, situations like this, standing in lines and rationing and all of that. And I'm walking through the store and I'm grabbing Snickers and Doritos. And you're like, hey, wait a minute. We need sugar, flour, oil, Oh, okay. So it was really good that God put us together, and you definitely balanced me out, JJ.
Everybody with their essentials, right?
Everybody with their
essentials. In America,
essentials.
people bought toilet paper. So
I know, and our rafters that's what they call them here in Romania. Our shelves were full of toilet paper. We couldn't find flour and yeast because everybody makes bread here. They know that they can survive on bread if nothing else. So, JJ, you first came into contact with Americans in the early 90s, actually 1990, after the fall of communism. Missionaries came here to preach the gospel. What was your first impression of Americans?
my first impression and the feeling in the same time was I don't trust them.
Really?
Yeah, because I thought, how come somebody will cross the ocean to come here to Romania, and they wanted to help us, they wanted to bless us for free. They were preaching the gospel, and they didn't expect anything from us. So that was kind of like a strange thing for me, because I always thought you want to get something from somebody, not give something. And I was very, very surprised. Later on, I find out that God used Americans to go all over the world to preach the gospel and help people. The other thing, what was a little bit shocking for me, were the girls. Because the girls were all the time smiling, and the girls were, let me give you a hug. Well, for me, that concept was a little bit strange, because if a girl smiled to me, that meant she wants to be my girlfriend. If she wants to give me a hug, it's like we're talking about marriage here. So the American girls are just hugging everybody and smiling to everybody. So I'm thinking I will never want to marry an American. So here we go.
But I never hugged you.
You never did.
I never hugged you. We were married for probably 3-4 months, and we went to America. And what were your first impressions of America?
As a new believer and not knowing too much about God, I remember the first time going to a restaurant and I see somebody praying for their food. So my first thing is hey, they're Christians, let's talk with them. And you were like, no, it's okay, just leave them by themselves. So I'm thinking, well, who knows? Maybe she's backsliding a little bit, or who knows what, but we'll not talk with them. Well, I was glad that I didn't talk with them, because after that I will have to talk with everybody, because Americans are praying for food when they go, are praying in public. Romanians don't do that. Then I was surprised with the churches. Everybody's going to church. Especially in 2000, when we were there, everybody was going to church. Everybody was talking about year 2000 was going to happen. All the radio stations were talking about God. Things that in Romania people didn't really do that. So that was kind of like a eye-opening for me to see how Americans responded to God and the gospel. The shock was not that much when I went there, because going there, I don't know, maybe because of the movies, I thought that I didn't know what to expect. So I was not just shocked going there, but I was very shocked coming back. When we flew from LAX and was so nice there, we flew into London. And London, it's a nice city in Europe. And when we got to London, I'm like, wow, what's wrong in here? They don't have lights. It didn't look that good like LA. And then from there, we went to Budapest. I was like, wow, this is bad. And from Budapest, we
We
came
came
to
to
Romania.
Romania.
I was like, whoa, this is terrible. So that was for me a little bit of a shock coming back.
Yeah. Well, it was a shock for me going to America after being here for a while and seeing a refrigerator full. You know, or all the choices, right? All the choices and the menus and everything. That can be overwhelming. What's it been like for you being married to an American?
You need to give me a little bit of credit here, okay? Because I'm not just married with an American. I'm married with somebody from California, somebody from the Valley. Basically, Lucy and Ato together, right? So
Let me translate that. Lucy and Ethel together.
Close enough. It's good enough for Ricky, right? You know, we come from different worlds. We come from different cultures. We are so different, like day and night. Not just that we are woman and man, and you think so meticulous and think about everything, and I think about nothing. So, but we're different. But I think we learned those two lessons, and they are so important. We take from both cultures what is good and bring it together in our family, and we leave what is bad, we leave out.
Yep.
That's one of the things. And the other thing that I think we do, and is very good for us, we help each other to get closer with God. And as we get closer with God, we get closer with each other. And that's, I think it's very, very, very good for us.
I think it's breaks the culture barrier, doesn't it, between us?
it
Because
does.
honestly, we don't have a whole lot in common. If we look at like things that are hobbies and things that we like to do are completely opposite of one another, but we have God, and He has really been the glue, and it's been a good balance.
Yeah.
Where I'm weak, you're strong. Where you're weaker, I'm stronger. So it's been really cool to see that. So JJ, not only did we grow up with different cultures and different languages, we grew up with different governments. I'm super patriotic. I love my country. I still cry when the national anthem gets played. And you grew up under communism, food rationing, standing in line for bread. You know what it was to go to bed hungry, to have that feeling of being hungry. I've never known that. And we're hearing a lot of young people today use the words socialism, Marxism, and we even have some young people here in Romania that think that we should go back to communism. How does that make you feel? What do you think about that?
I tell Romanians this thing when they ask me. A lot of times they say, how long will it gonna take for us to get to the level of America? And I tell them, never. And they are like, what do you mean, never? I said, well, if you're talking about Coca-Cola, they have Coca-Cola, we have Coca-Cola now. If you're talking about shoes like Nike or cars, whatever, they have it, we have it now in here too. But if you look to the American culture is formed with people coming from all over the world. Every nation is in America. Every color is in America. So I tell people this, America, it's a country like there is no other country. It's a culture like there is no other culture. It is like a melting pot. All the good brain from the world and good ideas, they came to America. That's why you see so many good inventions coming from America. But also in America, you have people, like I said, coming from all the nations, from all colors. You have good people and you have bad people coming in. You have smart people and you have stupid people coming in. It is true.
Yeah.
And you have godly people in America coming in, and you have evil people coming in. Okay, I moved in probably more than 40 places, different continents, different countries. I live under socialism, communism. I live in democracy. I live in capitalism. And I can tell you one thing. I have never found a perfect place here on this earth. I didn't find it in Romania, I didn't find it in America or any other place where we were. A place where everything to be perfect. The neighbors to be okay, the government in the same time to be okay, the weather to be okay. How nice is the weather in California, right? So
Southern California, yeah.
when you look to governments and when you look to places, I can tell you one thing. I'm longing to be able to be with the Lord into that beautiful place that He prepares for us. And when we're talking about the governments, I will do a study where we will talk more about governments. But I can tell you right now, the theocracy, it's the only government that works.
Yeah.
Where God leads and we follow. I'm not talking about the church leading. I'm not talking about people in the church leading the government. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about God being the leader. In our home, God governs.
Yeah.
God is the leader, we follow. And works really, really good.
Yes,
but
it
we'll
does.
talk more about that because I see a lot of kids in America wanting to go into socialism, and I've been there. And it's not a pretty place.
Yeah. The stories I hear of people, Christians, they didn't allow Christianity, didn't allow you to have a Bible in the house. I remember your family was really scared one time they had a Bible in the house and they told you not to tell anybody. You know, who wants to go to that? You know, who wants that kind of governing?
We're
over
talking.
you?
I mean, that, yes, that it in itself, but we can talk about daily things.
Yeah.
Like not having water going off every
yeah.
day, electricity going off every day, not having food. They take all the freedom and they take it slow and slow, but we'll talk more about it.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to you sharing that on another video so that our friends out there can know more about what it was like, because if we don't educate people on history in the past, they're going to make the same mistakes over and over. And I'm just so glad that our kids have benefited from both countries and been able to grow up with perspective of both angles. And more than anything, we tell our kids it's God's perspective that matters.
And to buy sneakers when they are in a hard time to buy sneakers, but also buy some flour and oil.
Yeah, that's right. They got balance.